All right, everyone. So in Raid Shadow Legends, you're going to realize that there are certain things that are going to seem more appealing to do than other things. The problem is, a lot of the times, the things that you really want to do in Raid Shadow Legends are actually going to go against what the right thing to do is. So today I wanted to talk about things that you're going to want to do before other things, and a lot of this is going to come from personal experience and really big mistakes that I made, especially the first few. I've been playing the game since April, so hopefully I can share with you guys this information so that you guys don't end up making the same mistakes that I do, and overall just progress your account a lot better than I did. With that being said, let's jump right into number one of the biggest mistakes that I made in Raid Shadow Legends early on. If I did not make this mistake, I could have easily progressed my account much quicker than I actually did, and that is going to be level your first champion to 60 before you level up a bunch of champions to level 50. Now, this is going to really go against what you might think is the right thing to do, because when I first started out, I really thought that building a diverse team of multiple champions to level 50 that can all do different things is going to be the right way to go about it, but that's actually not going to be the case. You're really going to want to try to get your first level 60 because the power difference between level 50 and level 60 champions is significant. And even though you might think that you're building up a team of champions that are diverse and can do a bunch of things at level 50, regardless, you're still going to want to get your first champion to level 60 because it's just going to be such a massive difference in power level that you're actually going to progress quicker with that one level 60 champion than a bunch of different level 50 champions. So definitely something that I had to learn the hard way, so hopefully those of you guys who are newer, hope you won't have to. Now moving on to the second thing in the list, this is another really big mistake. I didn't make this one as much personally, but I know this is a huge mistake that a lot of newer players make, and it's going to cost you in your account progression, and that is work on getting higher star level and rarity gear before you really start to invest in that low star gear. 1, 2, and I would say even most 3-star gear, you're really just not going to want to take the resources to invest it to 16. It's okay to level up a decent amount of it to +4, +8. I would even say +12 is pushing it for most gear, especially 1 and 2-star. Really shouldn't be any reason to be using that gear. Even if it seems really good and it's flashy, you know, I know the game throws a lot of like 2 and 3-star epic gear at you that looks really good early on, but the problem is low star level gear just has so many less stats than higher star level gear. Even if it's epic or legendary, it doesn't matter, because the amount of stats that you're going to get on even 5-star common gear is going to outweigh all the crazy stats that you end up getting on 2 and 3-star rare, epic, and legendary gear. So it's not going to be worth the resources. I know it's a bit cheaper to level up lower star level gear, but regardless, it's still not going to be worth it. You're really going to just want to try to prioritize on getting higher star level gear. I would say the first point where you really want to consider spending a decent amount of resources is going to be 4-star gear. 5-star and 6-star is going to be mid and late game. Totally fine to invest in that, but absolutely don't get carried away with the low star gear that the game throws at you early on. It's bait, it's a trap, don't do it, it's not worth it. Now moving on to the next thing on the list. Now this is really going to be important for people who are newer to the game, who don't really have a lot of actual consecutive login days or just login days in general, and I know Raid Shadow Legends does a good job of trying to distract you from this one right here and getting you to do the opposite. And this is, you're going to want to work on upgrading and unlocking your long-term benefits, things like your market slots, the gem mine, maybe even things like the sparring pit. I would even say champion storage is going to be something to throw in there as well. You're going to want to work on unlocking and upgrading that stuff before you spend your gems and your resources on one-time things like market refreshes. Probably not the best example because market refreshes are almost never going to be worth it anyway, but I would even say things like energy refills. Even though it's a great way to use your gems overall, I would still focus on the one-time long-term benefit upgrades like market slots in the gem mine before you get too carried away spending your resources on things like energy. The game throws a lot of energy at you early on anyway, and the reason why I say this is because things like market slots in the gem mine, you're going to get permanent benefits from every point forward playing Raid Shadow Legends. The earlier on that you end up unlocking your market slots, the more benefit that you're going to get from them. The earlier on that you work on getting your gem mine completed, the more you're going to get out of it. Every day that you delay it, you're just going to get less out of it. So you might as well get those free resources and as many of them as you can, especially if you plan on playing the game for a while. You're going to want to optimize getting all the free stuff that you can. And things like energy upgrades, those are only going to get better as you play the game longer and longer. As you get more account levels, you're going to get more energy, and you can always just end up coming back and getting that stuff later, whereas the long-term benefits are going to get less value the longer you procrastinate and hold off on getting that stuff. So definitely a big one. A lot of newer players make that mistake as well. That's something you're going to want to do. All right, the next one is another really important one, especially considering how much free stuff the game is going to throw at you early on, and that is to think about your resource optimization before you spend a bunch of saved up resources on something. The biggest saved up resource that the game throws at you that I can think of that you're not going to get a bunch of later on is going to be energy. Not only from your account upgrades, every time that you level up, you're going to get a full energy refill. Of course, as you get to the mid and the late game, when you get to level 60, you're no longer going to get those free energy refills, which is a bunch of stuff that you no longer get for free. The game just throws at you a whole bunch of other stuff as well, from your campaign rewards, all these goodies here, from your challenges, from your missions. I don't even have the challenges on my screen anymore because I've completed them, but your progress missions, I'm getting really close. I've been procrastinating on this one here, but there's a whole bunch of free stuff that you end up getting from the game. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to think about how to use those resources in the best way possible. And what I can think of is like experience boosts. You don't want to get too carried away using all that free energy that you're probably not going to get a bunch of later on without considering using things like experience boosts and really getting the most out of it that you possibly can. So the game also throws a lot of experience boosts at you as well. The best thing I could say about this is don't really get too used to all the free stuff that the game gives you early on, and before you end up spending all those resources, think about the best way to use them, because you're probably not going to get a bunch of them later on, so you do want to use them the best way that you can. Next thing on the list is going to be work out multiple areas of the game before you get too specialized in one area. Now, this is a really big one that I know a lot of people get into, and the reason why this is on the list is because each area of the game, in a way, ends up giving you some form of rewards. So you have the arena, of course, which ends up giving you your arena bonuses. First of all, your additional HP attack defense, your arena chests as well. You get your medals to upgrade your Great Hall. So that's all the stuff that you end up getting from the arena. You have the clan boss, of course, which ends up giving you your clan boss chests. You have faction wars, which ends up giving you glyphs. Each area of the game kind of gives you different rewards. And you're going to want to try to get as many of those rewards as you can in the best way possible, because all that stuff is essentially for free. You don't have to spend money on it. You don't have to buy packs or anything like that. The problem is if you get way too specialized in one area, you're essentially just missing out free rewards from every other aspect of the game. So you don't want to go, for example, way too crazy on your arena team and then completely ignore the clan boss. Now, that's the one from my personal experience that I made the mistake on that I still regret today, is even now my clan boss team is not the absolute best. I'm still way behind on clan boss progress compared to where I should be for how long I've been playing the game. I focused way too hard on the arena, and because of that, I ended up missing a lot of potential rewards from decent clan boss chests. So you really want to think about this. Think about the best way to kind of spread your resources in a way to get all the rewards as you can, and not get too fixated on one aspect of the game, as tempting as that might be to do. So that's going to end up being the next thing on the list. Alright, this is another really important one, probably one of the biggest mistakes that I personally see people make, and that is you're going to want to complete time-sensitive objectives before focusing too much on the non-time sensitive objectives. Now, time sensitive are going to be things like your dailies or your weeklies, or even things like events, because events end after a certain period of time. You're going to want to work on those before non-time sensitive objectives. That's going to be things like your missions, your challenges. These things, even after a certain time, they're still going to be there. There's no time limit in order to complete them. And the reason why this is really important is because if you don't end up completing the stuff with the time limit, you're going to lose out on those rewards. You're not going to be able to get them, and that's free stuff that you miss out on. Whereas the missions, challenges, whatever it is, without a time limit, the campaign progress, you can always just end up going back to that stuff later on and still get all the rewards from it. It's not going anywhere. The progress missions are still there. I've been procrastinating and avoiding this for a very long time, but all the rewards are still there. I can still get my Arbiter. It's not like it's going anywhere. Whereas, you know, you have your dailies, you have your weeklies. These things, they're on a time limit. If you don't end up completing them, you're going to miss out on this stuff. You're going to miss out on the energy refill, those gems, events. You're going to have to kind of take a look and see if you have the resources to be able to complete them, if it's reasonable to do. If it is reasonable to do, you're probably going to want to do it, because if you don't, you're going to lose out on those rewards. So that's just an overall theme that you're going to want to get in the habit of for Raid Shadow Legends and any kind of game similar to this, is always try to work on those time-sensitive objectives before you work on non-time-sensitive objectives. All right, this is a really important one, definitely a major mistake that I made as well. Going back to that theme of a lot of these things come from my personal experience playing the game since April, and that is try to find an appropriate clan for your overall damage and team before joining and getting poorly optimized chest rewards. So this is important whether you do a lot of damage on the clan boss and you are a mid or late game player, or whether you do not do a lot of damage on the clan boss and you're an early game player. Either way, you're going to want to find the right clan for you and try to find a clan where you're killing the bosses that you're actually working on. Because when you end up killing the boss, you're going to get double the rewards, of course. But if you're fighting bosses that your clan is not fighting, you're just losing out on a whole bunch of rewards. So don't be in a mismatched clan. Try to find one that works for you to make sure that not only you're helping your clan, but also that you're getting the best rewards for your account that you possibly can. And each day that you miss out on this, that's free stuff that you're losing out on. So definitely going to be a really big one, even for those of you guys who've been playing the game for a while. And the last thing, this is super important, probably the most important thing. I wanted to leave this off at the end of the video to talk about it for a second. Do research before using rare items, resources, and just stuff like that. Now, if you're newer to the game and you end up coming across something that you don't really know much about, don't just use it right away, because you never know when you're going to end up getting something like that again. The best example I can give is going to be things like skill tomes. The game throws a decent amount of these early on at you. You're going to get a whole bunch of rare ones, but epic and legendary books are going to be a lot more difficult to come across. And I know that there's a lot of these as rewards in things like the challenges. But the problem is you get a lot of these early on, but then you don't really get a lot of them later on. So you don't want these to go to waste. You don't want to use your epic and legendary books on rares or anything like that. Don't get into that habit. If you come across an item that you're not very familiar with, or if you don't know when you're going to get it again, do some research, either look it up. There's plenty of good resources and information out there. I'm not just talking about my videos, of course, but I have plenty of videos talking about all sorts of stuff like this on Raid Shadow Legends, so definitely make sure to check out the playlist. But even if you decide to go with another resource, just do your research before you actually use those items that you might not know too much about, because you never really know when you're going to get it again, and it would be really unfortunate to use rare stuff, have it go to waste, and then not be able to get it again in the near future without putting a lot of work into it. So that's going to be the most important thing by far. I know that's a broad topic, but I wanted to include that at the end just so you guys know. So with that all being said, that is going to be it for the video today. I know there's a million other things that I could get into. A lot of this stuff comes from my personal experience, plenty of other mistakes that I've made. Maybe I'll do a part 2 to this. This is definitely a video where I could do that, but for now, I'm going to leave it here. So thank you guys, everyone, for watching. I really hope that these things helped out. And if you did enjoy this video and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to toss a quick like. It helps more than you can imagine. And more Raid Shadow Legends videos, guides, tutorials, and all that fun stuff should be popping up on the screen right about now. So feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, have a great day, everyone. This is Salt of the Salted Guild, signing out.